Now, going on to even more, I was about to say Disney. What's a nice way of saying moronic? Anyway, so we have more bad business decisions by Walt Disney. In this case, you have the She-Hulk writer looking more foolish than usual, which is quite an accomplishment now that I think about it. Now, this particular Hollywood writer who, for some reason, didn't want to censor his name, he proudly put his name, wrote episodes for the show She-Hulk. Now, that writer's by the name of Cody Ziegler, and he was crying, complaining, because he only, quote unquote, got a royalty check for $396 for a She-Hulk script, which I would debate is $396 too much given the content that is the scripts for She-Hulk. Now, let's do a little summary of what is She-Hulk. I'm sure, given their marketing and quality of materials, you might not have even heard of it, yet alone taking time to actually watch it. Now, I wouldn't recommend it because your eyes might bleed or ears might bleed, but just to be safe, I listened to some summaries for you so you do not have to suffer as much. Some would say I'm a generous man. Some. Now, apparently She-Hulk is a lawyer. Because kids love shows about lawyers. Yeah, that checks out. Now, She-Hulk is a lawyer and Bruce Banner's cousin, which Bruce Banner is the original Hulk. And she got her Hulk powers because apparently they got in a car wreck. He bled, and some of his Hulk magical blood got onto her. And she became a She-Hulk, powered by feminism and ignorance. And the whole show, she basically just makes fun of him. And I want to describe this scenario. And again, we talked about AI in Hollywood in earlier segments of the show. You're going to see perhaps another iteration of why AI is going to destroy those moronic jobs. Now, I say moronic because these scripts are especially simplistic, pejorative, and just anyone could probably do it. Now, this is one of those things where as soon as she got the magical Hulk blood in her, she became a She-Hulk, and without any training, she could control her powers perfectly because of feminism. And then she goes up against Bruce Banner, and Bruce Banner took years of meditation and therapy and working at controlling the monster within that kept him from going from Bruce Banner to the Hulk. It took him years of training, and it took her no time at all. It might be reminiscent of Star Trek when you have Rey. She went up against, I believe, Kylo Ren, the pretty boy with the long hair. Perfect hair, even after taking the helmet off. I need to ask him for tips. But she went up against him, who he spent his whole life training to be a Jedi, Darth Vader type guy. And she beat him in a fight because she had 2 minutes of training. Because the power and magic of feminism, apparently. I'm kidding, I know it was Star Wars, it wasn't Star Trek. It was a Star thing, but again, it kind of disrespectful to the whole concepts. If you really believe in the Star Wars theme of the Jedi, and in this case the Hulk theme of the anger overpowering you, it's supposed to be, some might say, the traditional debate of the balance of good versus evil and the struggle, and they just magically just handled it perfectly. And it got even more comical. She even actually went on to explain that she can control it because she's been catcalled and mansplained her whole life, and she's had to control anger her whole life. And if you dare not believe her, or if you dare disrespect the script or the show, talk anything, if you even deviate from believing that message, you are a sexist. Or you're just a true Marvel fan or someone who knows the inconsistencies in all these scripts. But society will surely label you one way or another. Me, I'm a capitalist, so I really don't care who is doing a role or what they're doing, but if you make good quality content and they're not just lazily copy and pasting, I usually don't have a problem. Also, this is also alienating half your audience, but that's their business decision, and of course, from a capitalism perspective, it's not very fruitful because, of course, they're not making much money at all on these. Now, the show gets even more pathetic from there, and you won't suffer too much more from this backstory. Now, it goes on where she doesn't really fight crime either. The main show is her being a lawyer, which I don't know who wants to see a superhero be a lawyer. And apparently she might work in superhero lawsuits, which is the most boring part of any superhero movie I could think of. Now, when I watch my version of superhero movies would be like something like The Founder with Ray Kroc, where he founded McDonald's, or you could debate on him growing the company versus starting the company. I would love that debate. That debate is fascinating in and of itself. But when it comes to made-up superheroes, it's one of those things where I don't know a single person or a Marvel fan who goes, you know what? I'd love to see them in a courtroom talking about legal theory and practicing law. Ridiculous. Although, in the name of empowerment, she does twerk on the TV, or in this case on the streaming platform, with someone known as Megan the Stallion, which she is not a horse. Her face might. Maybe, no, she's not a horse. And she's a rapper who talks, of course, I would argue is very sexist content with the types of songs she puts out, but some say it's just empowerment. And of course, SheHulk also breaks the fourth wall, which is kind of, it happened in the comments apparently. Someone noted that a little while back, but it comes off as just a copy paste because the main property that Marvel made that really broke the fourth wall or the third wall, whatever wall you're trying to break, that's going to be not Daredevil, it's close, but that would actually be, what does that pretty boy do? Ryan Reynolds. What is it? Deadpool. Close enough. That it's already been done, and of course, many people he argued he does it quite well, and the fans really appreciate that part of the show. In this part of the show, it actually is even more ridiculous. Apparently, She-Hulk goes into the Disney Plus menu and goes into the Marvel offices and finds out, somewhat hilarious, that apparently who writes the scripts is just a moronic robot. It's controlled by algorithms and literally just writes whatever's going to be the most viral. So at least the joke is kind of maybe Disney is self-aware at the crap they put out, where it's really just, copy paste, make viral moment. It's just one of those things where I don't know who enjoyed that episode. Now the cost to produce this was $25 million per episode. Now, one of the things I have a disdain for is, charlatans, two-faced people, and being unethical, obfuscating the truth. Now, Cody says he only got $396 in royalties, and I looked at multiple articles that covered the subject. He also got paid an undisclosed amount per script, also known as perhaps a base salary, or if he's an independent contractor, he got paid a lump sum in addition to the royalties. He's not saying how much he made for the actual script. The royalties, think of it as a bonus, depending on how many people tune into the show, which that actually seems a little bit, for how many people probably tuned in to see it, $396 actually seems pretty generous given the audience that's watching the show, or lack thereof. That even if they got paid $1 per person, that's a lot of money. That's 396 people tuned in. I'd be pretty impressed. He should be very proud of that. But it's one of those situations where you don't know. He might have gotten him $2 million for that script. Marvel would probably be drunk to give him that much money for the script, but that's per episode. We don't know how much he's making. He's complaining about the residuals. And there is an issue of, they call it Hollywood accounting, which is unethical and it's a tale as old as time. That's a subject for another time, but in this case, you don't know how much he's making as a base salary. It could be $20,000, could be $1 or $2, $3 million. You really don't know. And in terms of a copy paste and where AI is going to take over jobs, this show is perfect for AI. She-Hulk goes into a courtroom, probably gets angry, but controls herself. And apparently, it's just her going on dates, going to the courtroom. An average life who has to be a superhero. I mean, they just take that one episode, just copy paste 20 times. I just wrote a whole season. So time shall tell as this strike keeps going on in Hollywood. I think you're going to see a lot of producers, a lot of the executives go, how much do we really need this person? Also, Disney's losing billions of dollars, and Bob Iger, his goal is to actually cut about $5.5 billion in cost, including production cost. How much does it make sense to make this content that doesn't make a profit? Time shall tell, but I would say for the She-Hulk, the outlook is not so good. Again, doing something original probably would have helped. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in. I really appreciate it. We're trying to get to 3,000 subscribers by the end of July, so I especially appreciate you taking time to click that button and subscribe. If you already have, I also really appreciate when you take the time to share the video and comment. It seems like those things especially help the channel get more views and more comments. It'll help us grow together. Also, don't forget to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe and fight the good fight.